Hey, what's up? This is Kevin from Kevin's Barbecue Joints, and this one's awesome. It's with Michael Aubuchon. He is the head brewer for Heritage Barbecue and Beer, which is based in Oceanside, California. They'll be open Wednesday through Sunday from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. I wanted to give us a chance to get to know Michael better, find out his background, find out more about his time at Pizza Port, find out how he connected with Danny and Brenda, and then find out more about the beers they're going to have on tap. And he'll be focusing on clean, drinkable, approachable beers that'll pair well with food, lagers, IPAs, hoppy pilsners, German style, alt, Kolsch, hazies. The barbecue world essentially is his oyster. So there's lots of cool stuff he'll be doing, collabs, he talks about that. And he's also from the area, he's a hometown boy. So it's such a great thing that they're doing. And his wife, AJ, she'll be the general manager there. So you'll be able to see both of them. And I wanted you to get a chance to see him so that way you can introduce yourself when you get there. And you'll know a little bit more about him. I'm extremely excited about Heritage Barbecue and Brewery. It's such a smart idea, so ideal. It's a perfect thing for Danny and Brenda to expand the Heritage brand. If you're visiting from out of state, now you have two places to visit for Heritage. So I can't thank Michael enough for taking the time. His time is very limited as they gear up for the grand opening. If you're enjoying these, please subscribe. That way you don't miss out. I have a website at kevinsbbqjoints.com. But at the end, stay safe and visit your local barbecue joint and brewery. Good afternoon. How you doing, Michael?
Good, man. I'm doing good. Brewed an alt this morning, so yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, just back at home now, so waiting for the boys.
And you have 4 children, right?
Yeah, I have 4 kids. Yeah.
And their names are unique. Are they specific to, like, is there a reason you named them that way, or is it kind of names you'd always wanted to
Um,
use? Or
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, AJ, my wife, she's Japanese, and
yeah,
she wanted to name our first son a traditional Japanese name, and I really wasn't too into that. We started going through the names and trying to find something that we decided on, and we decided on Zephyr, starting with a Z. And then I always wanted to name one of my kids Zeppelin, so Zeppelin ended up
that's
being the.
awesome.
And then we just kind of kept the Z boy theme going. And then my third son is Ezekiel, but it's like Ezekiel without the E. So
That's
yeah.
awesome. How do you pronounce your daughter's name?
Araya. She's
Araya.
she's not a Z.
Yeah, she's not a Z. Well, it's good because but
Yeah.
it's close to, like, if you went back, like after Z, you go to A again, right? I would assume,
Yeah.
and then go back through the alphabet. So that's, and AJ too. We'll get to this, but AJ, you guys were working together on the Oceanside project, right?
Yeah, she's the GM and I'm the head brewer. Obviously, totally different roles,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah, we will be working together. But we worked together at Pizza Port. She was the bar manager there, and I was the head brewer. She was a bartender before. She worked there for I think 13 years, and I was there for 15 years.
Is that how you met? Oh,
No, actually, I was in the surf industry before, and I actually worked a couple days, like 3 days a week at Starbucks. And
okay.
she was in there in Starbucks studying. Yeah, I hit her up, but I mean, she was 19 and I was 25 at that time. I'm 45 and she's
That was a little time ago. Yes.
38 now.
That was
Four
like the
kids.
early. Yeah, 4 kids later. That was like the early time of Starbucks too.
Yeah, I mean, that was the only craft coffee around back then.
How do you pronounce? I just want to make sure that people know. How do you pronounce your last name?
Aubuchon.
Aubuchon. Okay, I want to make sure I
Yeah,
pronounce it. And if you say it, then at least when I listen to it, I could do the intro
yeah,
properly.
yeah. No worries. It's a little bit of a unique name as well.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So your kids have like double unique names. That's awesome.
oh, my poor kids! I don't think their names will fit on their license. Like AJ has a Japanese and American middle name for each one of our kids. I don't even, to be honest, it would be hard for me to think their full names.
But have you gone to
Yeah.
Japan?
Yes, I've been to Japan 6 times. She grew up in Kyoto,
Okay.
the one of the more traditional cities. But we just got back. I just went in September of this year, and I brewed a beer with Shiga Kogan. It was pretty cool because when I was over there the first time, they had just gotten a brand new Rolex. In 2015, I was there, and we brewed actually the first beer on that system.
Wow,
Yeah, on that new
that's
Rolex system.
crazy.
So this last time when I was coming out, I was talking to Ego Sato, the owner and head brewer of Shiga Kogan, and he's like, "When are you coming out?" And he goes, "Oh man, it's gonna work out to where that's gonna be the 1,000th brew
Whoa,
on this system." So we ended up calling the IPA 1 in 1,000.
that's
So
perfect. That's
yeah,
awesome.
it was the first brew and the 1,000th brew. So it's pretty cool.
So is that one done? Like, could you have? Do you have ones at your house of those?
I don't have any of 1,000. He did mail some to me, but I can't figure out how to track it.
You
And
know,
I don't know
I've
where,
shipped some stuff from Japan, and I'm like, I don't even know where it is. Like, it might not. It's because I think it gets held in like either their customs or ours forever, and it's no man's land. So
yeah, it's in our customs in San Diego, but I don't know how to get it or whatever. And I mean, now, like a 3 month old IPA, it would be nice to have it for the bottle, but I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it'll be okay, but I don't know how
yeah,
great
would it
it'll
be
be
as
compared to the fresh stuff on tap right now.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Well, so let's go. Let's talk about your path just a little bit. Did you grow up in San Diego?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm from Carlsbad.
Okay.
Went to Buena Vista kindergarten through third grade, Hope Elementary through sixth grade, and then yeah, my parents sent me to private school. After that, I went to Tri-State Christian in Vista.
Carlsbad's really nice. It's kind of like a tight knit community, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Carlsbad's such a cool place to grow up, and
Hmm.
I'm stoked my kids can grow up here too. I mean, it's you don't know as many people, but yeah, when I was growing up, it was really tight knit community, and everybody kind of knew each other.
Now it's a little more expensive to live there too. It's changed.
Oh gosh, yeah,
It's great. I was looking at places actually a couple of years ago, in that area, Carlsbad and down, and it was just
yeah.
like, yeah, Del Mar was ridiculous stuff. It's just, it's amazing how things have changed. And I remember too, like traffic wise, it wasn't that much. But so then you live in Carlsbad. How far away is Oceanside from you?
I mean, I can get to work in 6 minutes by car. So
That's
yeah,
beautiful.
yeah,
That's
just over the lagoon. So yeah,
wow.
it's pretty nice.
Oh yeah, that's killer. Now, is how did you get connected with Danny?
So I actually got connected with Danny through cooking. So I had a catering company for a while,
Oh,
Firecraft Catering. It was kind of short lived, but then I ran that with my wife. Yeah, I had a 800 offset smoker.
oh,
So yeah, so I was cooking brisket and pulled pork stuff. Basically just Central Texas style barbecue stuff. And I was kind of self taught. I was asked Danny some questions online, and he was friends with the Harper guys that built my pit.
oh yeah,
And
Harper Pit. Okay.
yeah, and went to several of his pop-ups at breweries and tried the food and stuff. Later down the road, he moved to Oceanside, and then he came into Pizza Port Carlsbad a few times. Said he's going to open a place, and kind of asked me if I would be interested if he found a place at the brewery, if I would be interested in being the brewer there. And I said, yeah. I mean, let me know when you get something. It would be hard to talk about my career if you don't talk about Pizza Port.
Yeah,
I
that's
was
true.
there
There's
15 years, and then I've been at Heritage for
yeah.
about, 2 or 3 months. So I was working two jobs for a little while at both places when we were in negotiations. I didn't necessarily know if it was going to work out at that time,
Of course.
and we had something kind of worked out, hourly. I was doing consulting and stuff, which I'm stoked that it ended up into being a job. But
Yeah.
back then, I didn't know what that was gonna entail.
Were you building surfboards or shaping surfboards when you got the job at Pizza Port?
Yeah, so I was shaping for Timmy Patterson at that time. I don't know
Oh,
if you've heard that name, but
the name sounds familiar.
yeah, so he's in San Clemente. Yeah, really really talented shaper and surfboard builder. But yeah, I was shaping for him. Yeah, I don't know. There was a lot of shapers that were shapers like me that were ghost shapers that had their own small label in that valley up there in San Clemente, and kind of at that time knew that I wanted to have kids at that time with my wife, and started asking them where they were at financially and how much money they have saved and if they owned a house and stuff. And then most of them were making about $45,000 a year, living in an apartment, and didn't have any retirement, any insurance, all that stuff. And that's when I started to kind of think like that I needed to find another career.
Hmm.
Anyways, I was homebrewing at the time, and they had a opening for a bottle shop employee at Pizza Port. So I wasn't really working that much in the surf industry at that time because it was after Clark foam, and it was a little bit hard to source foam, and a lot of people were hurting financially. So I ended up getting that job at the bottle shop, bartending there on the weekends, because I still had a lot to learn, but I knew a lot about Belgian beer. I'd been to the Pizza Port Belgian Beer Fest and the Strong Ale. So I knew a lot about beer. So I was in there, just recommending beers. And it was a really cool place back then. There was over 750 different beers from all over the world. You could either take it to go or just crack it right there and drink it with your friends. It was kind of a really cool,
What a cool
like,
spot.
Yeah, local spot. And I was bartending there. Jeff Bagby was the head brewer at Pizza Fort Carlsbad at the time. Started just asking questions, getting yeast from those guys, and going in and doing some brew days for free, just so I could learn more and
Yeah.
stuff like Yiga Mirashiro. He was an avid surfer, and I was shaping boards for him at the time. We started surfing together, becoming closer, and then he was going to be the head brewer of Ocean Beach. So I ended up being his assistant in Ocean Beach. That was kind of where I got, like my foot in the door, so to speak.
And probably learned a lot. So you've been home brewing, or you were home brewing in 2002. So what's that? 21 years ago. You've been doing it
Yeah,
for a while.
yeah. And I mean,
Various.
also when I started at Pete Sport, there was only like 14 breweries in all of San Diego County. Like you wouldn't have thought that it would have, at that time, I never would have thought that it would have ended up to what it is now.
It's crazy
But,
now.
oh yeah. So
Amazing that's how it's changed. That's awesome. So yeah, you probably had no idea that it was going to become what it became.
ended up getting the head brewing position at Pete Sport Carlsbad around 2012. Yeah, Nacho, after Jeff Bagby left, the beginning of 2012, Nacho had a short stint there as head brewer, 6 to 8 months. Then he went to Ocean Beach, and then I took over the Carlsbad location and had that position until the end of September of this, 2022.
What is it like being the head brewer?
Well, I mean, I chose the right career. I love brewing beer. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely love it. Having the opportunity to, be in control of, your ingredients, like that's one really, really cool thing about Pete Sport. I'm sure those are changing as the company gets bigger. But like when I was there, basically, if I wanted to brew an alt like I did today, or if I wanted to brew some crazy double IPA or whatever, like, I could just do it. There wasn't anybody that I needed to get the okay from or anything like that. And I had a mill there, so I ordered all my own ingredients.
Oh wow.
Just ordered all my ingredients and just made the beer and made money off the beer. There was a lot of from the beginning, like trying different new things out, and then you just kind of dial in your process, and you go to craft brewers conferences and you go to the talks, you talk to people, you collaborate with other brewers that have more experience than you, and you just get better.
Like how long did it take for you to be confident in what you were doing? Or was it just a process where all of a sudden you felt confident? How does that work? I was just curious because I've never talked to a brewer. I've talked to winemakers, but I've never talked to a brewer, and it's exciting.
Well, I mean, it definitely took me some time to get, confident,
Yeah.
completely confident and thing. I mean, how much time that was, yeah, I don't know. But I mean, I've had assistants like Evan Jorgensen and Adam Jester. I mean, they almost knew how to do everything within like 6 months. And then I've had other assistants that they haven't been able to even learn it. And it's like you just get to a point to where you're like, this guy's never going to get it.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Is it
it's just
is there a barrier like with science? Is it like or with chemistry? Is that something that people sometimes don't get, or is that something you need to have?
yeah, I mean, I think all that stuff, if you want to keep the consistency of your product, but when you're in a small brewery and you don't necessarily have, that much, you don't have a lab, you don't have that equipment. For me, it was all the variables of if you pitch this amount of yeast and you have this amount of grain, and you have this gravity, and you ferment at this temp, and you have this process where you turn it down at this time or you dry hop at this time, that those were kind of the ways that I would keep the flavor profiles consistent, just
Yeah,
like
yeah.
cook. But I mean, it's just like all the systems are different and all those things, and you just become familiar with that system. I mean, like if me and you both took a recipe down
Oh yeah.
off the internet on how to make chicken parmesan or whatever,
Yeah, yeah.
like we would go to the grocery store, we'd probably buy different stuff, maybe add a little bit of this or whatever, and they would taste totally different. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
it'd be
that's a great example.
so that's kind of the way brewing is.
Being consistent that's a process too with barbecue and with brewing.
Yeah, I mean, like even like when I was cooking a lot of briskets at a lot of these events, I would be cooking like 22 briskets at a time, and there'd always be like two ginormous like 22-pound briskets that would like keep you there 3 to 4 hours longer than you wanted to be. You'd just be waiting on these last two briskets. You'd just be like, oh, these last two, I just want to freaking throw them away. But you had to sit there until they relaxed and got tender and got to like that sweet spot of where they were done.
It's not like a steak where you can cut it in half or butterfly or do something to the
No,
no.
yeah, we were just cooking like one or two events per month. We did a couple weddings. We
Yeah.
we cooked at Virgin a few times. We cooked at Tipping Pine a few times.
Oh,
So
yeah. Well, but like 22 briskets, that's a decent amount cooking at one time. So it is
yeah,
like I guess it's not just like you were doing like three for like a little function. Like you were a legitimate caterer. That's cool. I didn't know that aspect about you. And
yeah,
so now that you've come on board, what can people expect? Danny had talked a little bit about, but I'm sure things have adjusted. Are there going to be how many taps? I know that you'll probably have guest taps. Kind of
yeah.
we talk about what you guys are going to be offering, and I'm sure you're gonna have a lot of fun. I'm excited.
Yeah, no, it's exciting. I mean, it's been a lot of hard work, and then
Oh, I'm
obviously,
sure.
the stress of having four kids, and having my work a ridiculous amount of hours, and me working a ridiculous amount of hours. It was really hard for me to get that brewery like in a shape. I mean, it's not that old of a brewery. It needed a lot of love to get it to where I felt comfortable like putting beer in the tanks and stuff like that.
How big is it?
It's just a 10 barrel system.
Okay.
It's a 10 barrel Premier from 2015. I mean, it's an easy system to work on. Those systems are easy to work on. There's things that I like and don't like about it.
As time goes on and you grow, they could maybe offsite do some different things too. Like it's who knows how this
Yeah.
because one of the notes that I wrote in my questions to you was that this is the beginning of something. This is the start of something. And what does that feel like? That's
Yeah.
exciting too, because
Oh yeah.
they were not just a barbecue joint, they're a great barbecue joint, but now this is a whole direction.
Yeah, I mean, for me to be a part of something that's like special like that, I mean, they already have a following. They already make great food.
Mhm.
They already have great chefs, and like, the people, they really care about putting out a really good product and things like that. Like, I mean, that's really freaking cool. Like, it's really exciting, and I can bring my expertise in on the beer side, and then maybe if there's Danny does some other catering things, I could help him out on the road. I still have my offset smoker at the moment. It's actually in the parking lot of Heritage Oceanside right now.
I'm sure it looks beautiful. They make awesome pits.
Oh yeah, yeah. They're awesome dudes too.
Are you going to have specific, like maybe four beers that are like, or at rotate? How is it going to work? I don't know how this works. I would.
I mean, I definitely would like to keep, like Mexican lager, Japanese lager, things like that. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be rotating tap. I brewed a virtual collaboration alt with Sebastian Sauer from Frightgeist today. So, and then on Thursday, I'm doing an Italian Pills with Jake Gardner from Westbound and Down. And
Oh,
then
that's killer.
on Monday, I'm doing a IPA with Mike Husker from Grains of Wrath in Portland, because those guys are going to be down for the Virgin Fest. So, I got a lot of really talented friends in the industry, with having been in the industry as long as I have, and the connections that I made. Traveling all over. I traveled all over and tried to get better on
Mhm.
short. I spent 5 times to Germany over the past 10 years. And, I've been at least, 5 times to Portland. Every year we go to the Great American Beer Festival, we go to Colorado. So, been to Colorado, over 20 times, doing collabs and going there for Great American Beer Festival. So made a lot of really good connections over the years,
Yeah.
really, to have like those guys like reaching out to me, like wanting to help out, because, it's like when you do a collaboration with a brewery like that has, like 70,000 followers, then we have 70,000 followers. It's cool because that stuff gets posted, on the internet, and then you see, both parties.
So, can you explain what a collab means? Like I know what collaboration means, the word, but what would that be in brewery sense?
You just kind of just talk about, each other's different techniques, and kind of share, like the way that you approach things, and then, you kind of talk about a recipe, and talk about maybe take a little bit from their process, and, put it into your process, and you put a little of your process into their program, and then you make a beer and see how it tastes. Usually when you're at somebody else's brewery, you're trying all their beers, and you're trying the food from their restaurant or whatever, and usually you're getting treated. So that's one of the things that's cool about going to other places, and they
Yeah.
come to you. It's kind of like an unwritten rule that the people that are there really don't do much, and kind of just get to hang
Enjoy
out.
themselves.
Yeah.
So if you did a collaboration with somebody, there would be like a limited run.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, usually you just have it on tap for the time. Sometimes I've not made collaborations very often. I think I might have remade them a couple times, but not very often.
So then with the Japanese lager, then is it using rice?
Yeah. Well, the reason for that is there was a tax on using grain and alcohol. So to avoid the large tax, they started using, rice as, a form of sugar in their lager to avoid the high taxes. So, and
Oh,
then it ended up, catching on. That's where that comes from.
so is it going to be similar to anything that people might recognize?
It is a little different, but I did a Japanese lager at Carlsbad for years called Matsube, but I brewed that beer for like 10 years. So named after a surf spot in Japan.
Oh, that's cool. That's very cool. So you always want to have that, and then you also
Yeah, I have a hoppy pills on. It's
hobby
called
pills.
my cousin Vinny, because Ben, he loves those, so he's the district manager. So they really wanted me to make one of those. We'll have one of those on tap too.
Are all your names going to be clever puns, like the awesome beer puns that people do?
I mean, I hope they're all clever, but yeah, it kind of gets hard when you start running out of names. And I used up a lot of my really good names when I was at Pete'sport, like Raceway, Carlsbad Raceway IPA. That was the first beer that I brewed, about 13 years ago. So grew up racing in the Carlsbad Raceway on my dirt bike when I was a kid, all the way up until I was an adult. So, but a lot of the stuff is, a lot of the names at Pete'sport are named after, surf breaks from growing up in Carlsbad, Warm Water, Spotty, Tamarack, Tiramar, like all those beers, were named, like right off the bat, like when I took over.
So you'll probably have maybe Oceanside type names eventually.
Yeah. Yeah,
start
that'd be
creeping in,
cool.
right?
Yeah, I lived in Oceanside for a while. So I lived in Oceanside from I was when I was like just barely turned 18 until I was about like 24. So
Oh,
yeah, I lived off of 109 Myers, which was actually a 45-degree angle from the Top Gun house in the same little flat.
oh yeah, that was Oceanside.
Yeah, there's a huge hotel there now, but yeah, I lived there, and then I lived off of over by Wisconsin Street.
So you're kind of a hometown boy back.
Yeah, I mean, I've only lived here in Oceanside, since I guess forever.
Yeah. No, it's
So,
cool, like, because it's like the soul of the area. It's not like someone coming in from like Connecticut or something or from another place.
yeah,
This is actually that region of California, so Southern California, but like the real southern part. That's you.
yeah. I worked in San Clemente for a long time, and did a lot of surfing up there too when I was in the surf industry. So,
Cool spot of California. It's an interesting, like, it's just, and it feels different. Like when you go north of Los Angeles and you kind of go to Camarillo grade, like things feel different. And then when you go south, it just, once you get out of Orange County, like the hub of it, it just feels
yeah,
different. It's so different.
it used to be. I mean, it used like it's going away from it, but I mean, they were blue collar towns like
Mhm.
Ocean, Carlsbad. But now, I mean, when the average home is 1.3 million in Carlsbad, I don't know how blue collar it is anymore. But
That's a very weird definition of blue collar. It's a
yeah,
sad definition of blue collar,
yeah.
but
So I mean, my parents have been in the same house since 1980. So I mean, I think they bought that house for $90,000. I think it's worth like 1.3 million or something like that.
so crazy. I'll put a link to the interview with Danny below because he talks about all the different meals and different things. Do is I'll put a link below to the
Yeah,
social media so that way
yeah,
people can just follow along and they can see, and they'll be announcing when their soft opening is. They'll be announcing when their full opening is, and so that way they can kind of follow along. And then, are you going to be doing any sours?
No, I don't foresee me doing. I mean, I could down the road, but I mean, I'll be focused on making, clean, regular, approachable beer, lagers, IPA, hoppy pilsner, some German styles, Hefeweizen, Alt, Kolsch. Yeah, just gonna try and just dial in, just making, really clean, really, really approachable beer to style. I'll be doing hazies too.
So you're right now brewing for a backlog. Is that kind of how you do it? I don't know how this process works because
Oh yeah. I mean, right now I have as we speak, I have 10 beers on tap at the pub.
that's awesome. Well, so then how many taps are there total?
There's going to be 20 total taps, and then they're doing like a kegerator where they're going to do pre-mixed cocktails. Oh, and I don't know all the details of that, but they'll be pre-mixed, they'll put them in there, and then they'll garnish them and serve them. They're trying to like set things up to where people won't be waiting for very long once you get to the front of the line. How long you'll wait before that, I don't know. We'll
Yeah, it
see.
depends.
Yeah.
How crazy things are, right? And then it's also, can you see?
No, there's like a glass over to the left that you could kind of peer into the brewery, but I mean, directly behind the bar, like where the actual
Yeah, I'm
brew
trying to
house.
remember.
Yeah, it would be a little bit. I mean, you would have to get like the right angle where the window is there, but you can see back in the brewery, yeah, from the restaurant now.
That's cool. And then you'll be able to see AJ. AJ will be in front of the house.
Yeah,
That's gonna be cool. It'll be fun. Like that doesn't happen often. Like when I saw that post, I thought, oh, I'm like, oh wait, they have the same last name. This is their kids. No,
yeah,
like not that like it was that hard to figure out, but it was nice to know like this is a family affair and their thing's a family affair. So this is really cool. This is exciting. I'm really happy, and thank you for taking a little bit of time to
yeah,
share. And hopefully I could edit this to make it cohesive and make sense for people, and they'll, I just wanted people to get a little taste as to what was coming. And is there anything that we missed or anything that you want to tell people about the new location?
just that we want to be a part of the community, and we want to welcome families, and we genuinely want for people to be stoked, so we want to make a really good product, and we want for things to run efficiently to where they can get in and get out and people leave happy and they come back. I mean,
Yeah.
why else do this?
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
No, that is the reason. But it's also like it's such a fun concept, and it makes all the sense, and the pairings and different things you could do. Are you guys gonna, I don't, this is silly, like do you guys have, are you gonna do flights and stuff? Is that what people, or is that just kind of like is that a hokey thing to do, or
we are going to do flights. I don't know the details of how that's going to work, but I think it's like flights up 4, and you can just pick whatever you want. We'll definitely do flights, and then we will definitely, like in the past, we've worked with fire department, police department, military. We'll definitely always work with those guys too and accommodate them.
excellent. And then also too, isn't there somewhere like a motel or like a hip motel really close? So if you come down there, you could stay there, and then it'd be a nice.
There's like a kind of hipper newer hotel that's literally like right next to Heritage, so I'm sure they're pretty stoked that we're something's good's
Yeah.
going in.
Yeah, especially with drinking and stuff, like, and it's like for a lot of people it'll be a drive, so you do that, you spend the night in there, so it's worth the drive, and it'd be fun. Like two people can do that, and then maybe on the way back up hit Heritage and San Juan Capistrano, then hit I know there's a lot of options. So Michael, thank you so much. Good luck with everything, and I'm
Yeah, thanks.
curious to see how it is, and I'm excited. I love beer, and so it'll be a great thing.
Yeah, well, cool, man. Well, we look forward to seeing you down there.
Yeah, definitely. And it'd be nice to meet in person. But have a great day. Thank you for taking the time, especially with your family and kids, and your time is like very limited. So have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, man. See ya.
Thanks, Mike. Take care.